Welcome to Mr. Sleepy. Relax. Take a deep breath. And let's drift into tonight's story. The Little Teacup Tavern. It was a dark and stormy night. Rain poured down in heavy sheets. As a tired traveler named Finn trudged along a muddy road, he clutched his coat tightly, trying to shield himself from the howling wind. The forest around him seemed alive, the swaying branches casting long, shadowy shapes that whispered in the darkness. Just when Finn thought he couldn't take another step, he saw a soft golden glow shining through the trees. It flickered gently, like a tiny beacon of hope. As Finn got closer, the light grew brighter, revealing a small wooden sign swinging in the wind. The words, "The Little Teacup Tavern," were carved neatly into it. The building itself looked old and slightly crooked, as if it had stood there for many, many years. Warm, golden light spilled from the windows, making the falling rain shimmer like tiny stars. Finn hesitated, unsure if he should go in. It looked safe, at least warm and dry. Finally, with a sigh, he pushed open the heavy wooden door. The first thing Finn noticed wasn't the warmth or the dryness, but the smell. It was sweet and floral, with a hint of spice, like cinnamon sprinkled over fresh flowers. Floating teacups drifted gently through the air, their rims glowing like tiny fireflies. An old clock ticked on the wall, but its hands didn't move in a way that made sense. The whole room felt alive, as if it were breathing along with the flickering candlelight. "Good evening, traveler," said a cheerful voice. Finn jumped, startled, as a teapot with a perfectly curled mustache rolled toward him on tiny wheels. Hello?" Finn stammered, looking around in disbelief. "I'm Earl," said the teapot, puffing out a little cloud of steam. "Welcome to the most magical tea house in the world. Come in. Sit down. You look like a wet cat caught in a thunderstorm." Finn hesitated, but then sank into a nearby chair, the warmth of the room already soothing his cold, stiff hands. Earl bustled around, moving surprisingly fast for a teapot. "Now," Earl said, spinning dramatically. "This isn't just any tavern. Oh no. Here, we serve teas that show you who you are. Your memories, your dreams, your truths." He paused, waiting for Finn's reaction. Finn blinked. Okay. Earl's mustache twitched in disappointment. That's it? No gasp of wonder. No wide-eyed curiosity. It sounds cool? Finn offered, shrugging awkwardly. Humans, Earl muttered, shaking his spout. No sense of drama these days. Anyway, here's the menu. With a flourish, he slapped a menu onto the table. Finn looked at the list, his eyebrows raising higher with every name. Moonlit memories, aroma of first love, a dash of courage, whisper of the forest. This is a lot, Finn muttered, unsure whether to laugh or be intrigued. Take your time, Earl said brightly, but not too much. The tavern disappears at sunrise. And one more thing. Earl leaned closer, his mustache twitching. To brew your tea, you'll need to share a memory, a meaningful one. Think of it as adding a pinch of your soul to the pot. Finn frowned. A pinch of my what now? Metaphorically, Earl said, waving his spout. You'll be fine. Probably. Finn sighed, staring at the menu. Why is this harder than picking a show on Netflix? He muttered. Earl chuckled, steam curling in the air, like laughter. We've all been there, lad. Now, what'll it be? Finally, Finn pointed to Whisper of the Forest. The name felt peaceful, like walking in the woods on a quiet afternoon. Earl nodded and wheeled over a small green teapot with swirling patterns etched into its surface. Now, Earl said, his voice growing serious. The memory. Finn hesitated. Sharing memories wasn't something he did lightly, but the warmth of the room made him feel safe. Taking a deep breath, he began. When I was a kid, my grandfather and I built a treehouse together. We didn't have much, so we used whatever scraps we could find. Old wood, bent nails. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. He called it our castle in the sky. As Finn spoke, the teapot began to hum softly. Steam rose from its spout, forming shapes in the air. Branches, leaves, and a glowing treehouse. The room filled with the scent of fresh pine and wood, wrapping Finn in a bittersweet warmth. Earl let out a whistle of appreciation. Now that's a memory. Well done, lad. Finn's chest felt tight. Not in a bad way, but in the way memories sometimes feel when they're full of love and longing. He blinked quickly, pretending the steam was making his eyes watery. The teapot started to whistle, its sound rising and falling in a playful tune. Finn tilted his head, listening. Wait, is that never gonna give you up? Earl froze, his spout twitching. Never gonna spill you up, he corrected with a dramatic wink. Finn groaned, laughing despite himself. Did I just get rickrolled by a teapot? It's tradition, Earl said smugly, puffing out another bit of steam. Now let's finish brewing this masterpiece. As the tea brewed, Earl glanced at the clock. Better hurry, lad. Dawn waits for no one. And cold tea is a tragedy. No pressure, Finn said, with a nervous laugh. While they waited, Finn asked, "Why does this place exist?" Earl's mustache drooped slightly. This tavern appears to people who are lost. Not lost in a map sense, but lost in here. He tapped his spout against his chest. Finn frowned. So, why am I here? Earl's voice softened. That's for you to figure out. But remember, being lost doesn't mean you're broken. Sometimes it just means you're ready to find yourself again. Finn stared at the steam rising from the teapot, feeling something stir inside him. It wasn't quite hope, but it was close. Thanks, Earl, he said quietly. Don't thank me yet, Earl replied, his cheerful tone returning. You've still got tea to taste and a sunrise to catch. Finn swirled the tea in his cup, watching the steam rise like a misty curtain between the past and the present. The swirling steam seemed alive, forming soft shapes before disappearing into the air. As Finn tilted the cup absent-mindedly, a small drop of tea spilled onto the polished wooden table. Oh no, he muttered, reaching for a napkin. But as he leaned closer, the droplet shimmered, glowing faintly, like it held magic. Finn blinked in surprise as the tiny droplet began to move, leaving behind glowing letters on the table. Remember when you tripped in front of your crush in the 3rd grade? Finn's mouth fell open as his cheeks turned red. You've got to be kidding me. Earl, who had been admiring his reflection in a silver teaspoon, wheeled over with a cheerful whistle. He glanced at the glowing message and burst into laughter, steam puffing out in bursts as he spun in circles, his mustache bouncing up and down. Oh, this is too good, Earl wheezed, We don't just spill the tea, lad. We spell it. Finn groaned, covering his face with his hands. This place knows everything, doesn't it? Everything worth knowing, Earl said with a grin. And that memory? A classic. Let me guess. Untied shoelaces? No. Finn mumbled through his hands. A soccer ball rolled by, and I tried to show off. It didn't go well. Earl tilted his spout, his mustache twitching. Ah, the good old days of trying to impress. But don't feel bad, lad. Just last week, someone spilled tea about accidentally sending a love poem to their boss. Finn couldn't help laughing, the awkwardness melting away as their laughter filled the room like warm sunlight breaking through clouds. As the laughter subsided, Earl puffed out a soft cloud of steam. All right, lad. No more delays. Your tea is ready. Finn hesitated, holding the cup in his hands. What happens when I drink it? Earl's mustache twitched knowingly. You'll see. Just drink it and trust the magic. Finn took a cautious sip, his face scrunching up as the hot tea burned his tongue. Ow! Ow! He yelped. Fanning his mouth with his hand, he blew exaggeratedly on the tea, looking around for relief. Earl sighed dramatically. Patience, traveler. Good things take time, and they don't appreciate being rushed. Finn gave the teapot a mock glare, but took the advice, blowing gently on the tea before sipping again. This time, the warmth spread through him evenly, bringing a gentle, dreamlike feeling. The air around him grew hazy, and the floating teacups blurred into soft, glowing orbs. Images began to form, in the steam rising from his cup like scenes from an old movie. The first memory appeared, the treehouse. Finn saw himself as a young boy, hammering nails into mismatched wooden planks, while his grandfather stood nearby, smiling. The smell of sawdust and the feel of rough wood rushed back to him. His grandfather's deep, steady laugh filled the air, grounding the moment in a bittersweet sense of joy. The memory faded, and a new one appeared. Finn was older now, standing at his high school graduation. The cheering crowd blurred into the background as doubt clouded his thoughts. He had felt unsteady, like he was balancing on a shaky tightrope. Another memory came next. This one was quieter. Finn, sitting alone in a cafe, staring at his phone. The hum of chatter and laughter from nearby tables felt miles away. The steam from his untouched tea swirled around him, blending with the memory in his cup. Not all memories are easy to watch, are they? Earl's voice broke through the haze, soft but steady. Finn blinked, and the images dissolved into the steam. "No," he said quietly, "but they're mine." "Exactly," Earl replied, his whistle gentle. "That's the magic of this place. It doesn't give you new answers. It shows you the ones you've always had." The steam swirled one last time, forming a final memory. Finn saw the treehouse again, but now he was older. He and his grandfather sat together on the weathered floorboards. The treehouse had aged, but it stood strong, filled with the stories they had built there. "You've done well, Finn," his grandfather said, his voice low and kind. "Every piece of wood tells a story. It's up to us to build something worth remembering." The memory faded slowly, leaving Finn sitting quietly at the table. His chest felt heavy, but it was a warm heaviness, a mix of nostalgia and understanding. He set the cup down gently. "I think I understand now," Finn said softly. Earl rolled closer, his porcelain gleaming in the flickering light. "Oh, and what's that?" Finn smiled faintly, a sense of peace settling in his heart. "I've spent so much time feeling lost, like I didn't know where I was going. But maybe being lost isn't the problem. Maybe it's part of the journey." Earl let out a pleased whistle. "Well said, lad. You're catching on." The first light of dawn crept through the windows, painting the floating teacups with a soft golden glow. Earl wheeled over, holding a small teacup with delicate patterns etched into its surface. "A gift," Earl said warmly. "Take this to remember your journey. And may it always remind you of the courage you already have." Finn took the teacup carefully, feeling its cool, smooth surface. "What does it do?" he asked. Earl's mustache twitched with a playful grin. "That's up to you, lad. It's just a reminder. No matter where you go or how lost you feel, you've already got what you need inside." Finn stepped outside into the crisp morning air. Behind him, the tavern shimmered softly, its warm glow fading into the mist. All that remained was the faint aroma of tea and a sense of wonder. Holding the small teacup tightly, Finn watched the sun rise. He whispered Earl's words to himself. letting them settle deep in his heart. Lost isn't the same as broken. With a steady breath, Finn turned toward the road ahead. The path stretched wide and uncertain. But for the first time in a long while, it didn't feel frightening. He smiled and took his first step, then another. The sound of his footsteps blending with the distant birdsong. Somewhere in the quiet morning, a soft whisper echoed, carrying the promise of new beginnings. As Finn walked, the world seemed to embrace him. Each step forward felt lighter, and the road ahead was open and full of possibilities.